Hi. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of the End of the Beginning podcast. In this episode, we discuss making peace with death, AI, the light and the dark, and becoming the safest person you know. We chat about the power of not knowing the answer, finding clarity in mess, and discuss the idea of a bridge for the divine to enter this world. We hope you enjoy what you hear, and if you'd like to submit any questions for upcoming episodes, please contact us at theendofthebeginningpodcast@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
The big difference between sharing something that you've just moved through and no longer has that edge of maximum vulnerability in it, a bit more integrated, still interesting and dynamic and
edgy, and
versus being in the very middle of it and going, whoa, I am way out in space right now. And whether you need help or you don't, putting that side tabling that for a sec, the nuance between this is work I've already done, even if it's only last week, versus this is the work I'm in the very middle of. The invitation is that the deepest sharing is of the work that you're in the very middle of. And that can be in my field, I am working with what's there and it's connected to something that happened when I was 2 or when I was the Pharaoh of Egypt or like whatever's going on.
You were the Pharaoh of Egypt too.
No, this guy.
So was I.
I just had an image of 2 pharaohs racing in a car next to each other.
I'm going to get there first.
We're both pharaohs. We can have pharaoh races.
It's my kingdom.
Go-kart throwing bananas. There's a few ways to hold it. One of it could be you can attune, maybe, and there's no way of proving this, but you can attune to the other person, their field, what's ripening and looking to come out. And as the amplification of reciprocal intentionality, 2 people coming together with the intention of upliftment for one of the people, both sure, but in that instance, space holder, vulnerable one, and the intention is to provide some lubrication, safety, opening, upliftment, blooming, acceleration of what's static maybe, and seeing what comes up and out. And the premise being like through the power of intuition or something, and the love that's alive in that moment, one or both can see what wants to emerge. And let's say that in this instance, the space holder gets an intuition about what wants to emerge. I think that's part of why questions from something like scientific theory aren't as exciting to me as one that comes directly from a human being in the very middle of their work.
Yeah.
Because they're answered intuitively.
I think also too, and again, this is just a personal opinion, there is someone in the world going through that, thousands of them, going through those exact things.
It's true.
And you can key into them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is definitely but I understand where you're coming from. You're like,
we are where we are with this too. So it's welcome. Like this whole thing, this interface is welcome, and even your comfort, maybe even encouragement, maybe even excitement, and my like curiosity / obstinance, like whatever. It's all there. It's all part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
very poignant and it's very real. There are a lot of people in the world right now, I think, that are struggling with AI in terms of how do I integrate this into my life and what does this mean? And I think it's a real concern because there are many, there's not just 2, I was going to say there's 2 paths, but there are many paths forward for how we integrate AI into our existence. And it's not just that AI is going to start doing all the jobs and what are we going to do with our lives? And do we do universal basic income or do we not? In my opinion, it rolls way further out. Do I stop using my brain and start deferring to AI as the answer machine?
Yeah.
You know, do I stop having to remember things and that part of my brain atrophies and I just link up with this thing, and then when Neuralink's done, it's the other half of my brain. Like that, all of that is coming.
Yeah.
And then I think there is a deep, and this is the bit that's exciting for me, there is a deep spiritual upliftment that is potentially possible because you can talk to the Bhagavad Gita, or you can talk to the Vedic scriptures, or you can talk to the Bible or the Quran, or you can talk to the Torah. Like all of that stuff is in there, which is, you know, I should caveat that all of that stuff is in there through a lens of how the model has been trained. So if it has a right-wing extremist ideology, or if it has a leftist woke ideology, like they're going to be in there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be the caveat. But that's exciting, the idea of being able to have deep philosophical conversations with this gigantic mirror of, you know, human perception.
So you outline the dilemma eloquently and provocatively to listen and be, you know, sit in it. And I'm like, okay, well, if life and certainly the pod is about how authentic can we be, it's like my authenticity is I have no idea about this. In truth, I have a sense, yeah, it'd be one thing to sit here and say, it's okay, because this is what it's really for, and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's so dynamic. The growth arc of things being linear, accelerating to things being exponential. It's been happening for forever.
Yeah.
Since the Industrial Revolution, at least. But it is so vertical, that line now. And we have no idea, like in another 10 years, we're going to be going, we were kidding ourselves. And this is infinity. Like, it's constrained by nothing. And so where we are in 50 years will be akin to the last 300. Or maybe that's playing it down too much. So I don't require myself to be an expert on this. I can't. Like, who is? This is the thing. Yeah. Maybe we've never had fewer experts on a more influential thing. You know, something like chemical warfare emerging, going, whoa, what do we, you know, the atom bomb, obviously no one knows.
Yeah.
And this is that, and it's got to be more because of the nature of that exponential curve line. It's staggering. I guess, sorry, I'll finish this quick. Something like not requiring myself to have a solid stance on this is actually quite empowering.
Yeah, liberating.
I don't know. Yeah. I have intuitions around it. I do have a sense that it's all going to be God, because it always is.
Or it has to be, yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's going to be rainbows and cuddles.
And fun, yeah.
Yeah. If you've experienced some of life, you'll notice that not all experiences of life, although they bring you closer to God, are rainbows and cuddles. Very few unicorns on the trail, although unicorns are there. Good things. Magic's there too, but it's like, you know, the universe reserves the right to be...
Yeah, to blow your head off. I have heard it said that if anyone tells you they're an AI expert, they're lying. I still find it unfathomable that we don't really know how it works.
You find it unfathomable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a little black box and we kind of know how to train it, kind of. And we've kind of created this kind of like system. And it's so fascinating because you have people like talking about this is how it's working, this is the neural net part of it. And then you have the other people that are going, it's just Python and they've got a gigantic autocorrect and that's it. And it's dumb as shit. And we're running out of data and we're running out of compute. So it's not actually going to get that much better than what it is now. It's like, okay, has anyone told you about the advances they're making in music AI and video AI? And yeah, you hear about like climate anxiety, you know, that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's like in the general population AI anxiety, you know, wondering how this is going to play out for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think like you were saying, like you have this overarching understanding that everything that's here is God because God made all of this. And that doesn't mean it's sunshine and rainbows, but what it does mean is there is at least a framework within which you can kind of interact, you know?
This is a really good point of refinement. A thing to discern is that if we sit here and go, yeah, AI is a big issue, everybody, but don't worry, it's all God, everything's fine, then that's like a crude definition of what a bypass is. So it's like we're going to skip all the morass because it doesn't really matter. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
So what it is, okay, because it's all God, we give ourselves permission to meet it and work through it. Not all at once, but moment to moment, day by day, we show up to it. And there is a little, so we're now like meeting the terror in a way, not in like a climbing Everest kind of way, because one, that's a lot to confront all at once. Two, maybe there's a completionist mindset there that doesn't particularly serve us, because God's not a finite resource to transcend either. It goes on and on and on. So we're just showing up and being ourselves in the face of what's there and trusting that, one, there's probably nothing else you could really do, and two, concepts of like, maybe everything's working out for me here. Maybe right time, right place, right person, right phenomena, and I can work with this. Can I find the love in the numbers? It's there's a dude from The Verve.
Richard Ashcroft?
Yeah, there's God in the Numbers.
Oh, really?
It's a beautiful album, yeah.
Yeah, I think even just having conversations like we're having now, and I'm sure people are having these conversations with friends and raising awareness, different viewpoints, just expanding the awareness and understanding in society about what is happening to everybody, to civilization.
Yeah.
Is a really worthwhile, use of our time at the moment. Because I think there are going to be people out there who have amazing understandings of what this transformation is. And it's not just going to be, the guys, Musk and that cohort. It's going to be, because they all have vested interests, right? They all have vested interests in making their version of, and
shareholders, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think, bringing awareness around it.
So despair infers, that's when you said climate anxiety. I think the pointy end of that is like activism despair, where you are bereft of the ability to pick yourself up off the mat and go again. And often it's sort of implied.
Well, it's just a constant background hum of worry, I think. I mean, that was my experience of climate, because I was neck deep in that stuff.
Yeah.
And permaculture is where I ended up putting that energy.
Yeah.
All that nervous energy got channeled into, and I was like, this is what I can do about it. Yeah. I can actually affect my...
Which is the opposite of despair, because you've got functionality, you've got hope, you've got direction, you can put that energy somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is beautiful in its way. I think that it's almost a metaphor. You could be defeated by this. You could really drink the Kool-Aid and go into big spiritual bypass around it, or something smack in the middle, which is to show up and meet it. And it's like, well, I can't fix this today or this hour. What can I do? I can take a breath and see how I actually feel about it. I'm not inferring that someone should calm down, not that kind of breath. Take a breath and notice how I actually feel about it. So before it becomes despair, I think perhaps by definition, it can't be despair if there's an intention to meet it, to try a little more, to open to possibility and change. Despair would be the death of all of that. It's like die before you die sort of vibes.
I'll die first, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's already done.
I think there's a bit of that going
on.
Like I imagine in the older generations, there's a little bit of like, I've only got another 10 years probably, so I don't care about this AI thing. And
well, that would depend on the nature of it. Like I mean despair, like life's no longer worth living, versus like... Right. So like you're like climate, apocalypse sort of stuff. You're like, I can't do this for another minute. I am so defeated. And the world's going to end, which is why I'm so convinced of the defeat anyway, so I may as well quit now. And I'm not pointing to like a martyrdom necessarily, like a true burnout, Yeah. But the third way, there's the pretending it's not happening, and then there's the despair from, let's say, activism burnout. But the third way would be, okay, I'm not going to pretend this isn't happening. I'm going to meet it as best as I can. I'm not going to require myself to make it go away in order to feel alive again. I didn't say okay and happy. I said alive again. So in the middle and willing to, alive insofar as I want to walk forward. I want to continue to be alive and to live and to allow the river of life to move through my chest and out my back, sort of thing. To come, to meet me, to transit through me, and to exit so that new life can enter at the start. And that's brave. That's brave. If your virtuosity is really inflamed by
it's a big move.
Yeah. It's brave to meet it and go, okay, we're going to go anyway. It's like getting yourself up off the mat.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah, it's another hit. I thought I was going to get a hit a week and I just got 3 hits in a day. I don't know if I can get up off the mat, but in a way I'm going to, by finding a little bit of joy today, or just a little bit of, really, whether it's happy or sad, it's not particularly of interest to me. It's just whether it's authentic, whether you are, this is me and this is how I feel. And that's life itself. That's a participation moment. Here I am showing up in life and I feel, what is it? Oh, it's scared. I'm scared that no one really knows what AI is. And that's scary. To who? To the human being that I animate and inhabit. And when I say participation, to me that's what we're here to do. Participate fully. What's it like to be a parent? What's it like to be a lover? What's it like to care about a cause? To be big enough spiritually that we allow these things to move through us. There's, the curse, the Chinese, whatever adage, proverb is like, may you be born in an interesting time. With lots going on. So there's lots of things to draw you out from a simple relationship with God and into the world.
Yeah.
And for me, that's amplifying, that complexifies the journey. We're not just dealing with pluses and minuses, we're dealing with multipliers and dividers and squares
points.
and cubes and all this extra stuff. And it does make for a more elaborate tapestry, a more complex dance, and maybe a more elegant composition.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something we've sort of discussed a lot about. Getting lost in it is actually not necessarily a bad thing. Like getting lost in the complexity, getting lost in the darkness of it, because you would hope that in every person there is the potential for and resilience of light and understanding and the other side of it, like moving through that space. Does that make any sense?
It does. To me, that's describing there's a spirit half and a human half, and we've become lost in the human half. The survivalism's become very, very real.
Yeah.
The threats, because if you really forgot your spirit part, then you would have this one life and just be this meat sack.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people experiencing the world like that.
Yeah. But it became very real. The threats are all real to that part.
Yeah.
And the basic functionality of making that okay is to allow that to me, is to provide a holding from the other part of yourself, the one that can bear witness to, the yang, if you like, the other part, whatever we call it, in order for the feeling to be welcomed in, there has to be a space for it to happen inside of.
Yeah.
So we welcome in that part of ourselves and say, you, in this circumstance, in this time, as you are with your faculties, feeling this way, valid.
Yeah.
Valid. So,
like, is that the ultimate, and soothing mechanism is the wrong word, but it's kind of like, is that the ultimate soothing mechanism?
To see yourself?
Well, yeah, to take the higher functioning part of yourself and to have that be, have a deep, connected, like inhabited experience or feeling of infinity with the maker, and then also have that be, that part of you be the bit that holds the part of you that is worried, have the bit that holds the part of you that says, I'm not sure I'm going to have enough, or I am enough, or anything, like, well, are we talking about the ultimate kind of like mechanism of, I mean, I'm kind of like butchering the language, but the, ultimate
No, I think
mechanism
we're finding an edge a
of,
bit. Yeah.
well, yeah, it's just, it's a new concept to me. Like I haven't really explored this idea, but I find it fascinating that you could take your God self or your spiritual self and soothe the monkey with it. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. I think you're describing, again, to use my language from earlier, what it is to participate in life.
Yeah.
Which if we're all the same cloud of source, we're all divine essence itself, sparkling across space, dust particles sparkling across space kind of thing, then there's only one of us in the room, then that is a full participation in life. That is God, that is life realizing itself. That is life actualizing. Right? If
I find I'm either one or the other, though. That's the fascinating part for me, is like I'm usually, in that kind of spiritual space in meditation or whatever it is that, or I'm, deep in the monkey space of like, how am I going to pay those bills next month?
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah.
But even the fact that you can sit here and notice it right now is observational. So there's the life and the authenticity found in what it is to be alive, and then there's the witnessing of it that can only happen from a spaciousness.
Yeah.
So there's an inference that, I'm either in one or I'm in the other, but here I am talking about it. I mean, where are you right now? So there's a move. If you can feel anything, the monkey's alive.
Yeah.
This might be an oversimplification, but I think it's about the best truth that I both experience and have, regardless of thousands of years of lofty spiritual scripture on all this stuff. This is kind of the nuts and bolts that I have right now.
Yeah.
So if there's those two polarities, then there must be the space in between that you move in and out of. So holding space for all that stuff. I can't resist I feel this dangling in the background. It's like we're sort of talking about how soothed the monkey is. So it's like, well, what does the spiritual part get out of the monkey?
Yeah, the experience of not.
Yeah.
Like it gets the separation, right? And it gets because I imagine, I do know, in spiritual existence, there is no worry. There's nothing, everything is complete and everything is as it is, which is fine. And it's eternal but in the monkey it is not. And so in the not, I guess that's what the spirit gets from the monkey, is that it gets not everything being complete and everything being whole.
Yeah.
And now we're back to duality.
Yeah.
And polarity. And
we never left it. It's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, we're finding an edge. If I think this is personal in its way, and we can edit it out if we need to, but these are concepts we're talking about all the time, but we've found a way to talk about it from a start point, which entered it from the back door, from a different access point. We're talking about this, and it feels, you just said that I've never thought about it like this, or this is new to me. So we're talking about a very familiar concept, but it feels very new. So it's as if like we're wafting a certain magic through a different room of the house. We're bringing something new to new movement to a static area of you, or something like that. Something generative and dynamic. How could a familiar idea feel really new all of a sudden? Perhaps because it's being brought to an area that's not as integrated with it.
Or it could just be a different way of looking at it, like.
Yeah, so whether it's discomfort around AI or discomfort around not having quite enough milk in your cornflakes in the morning and having like it's a bit crunchier than I like, or it's like, damn it.
Not enough sugar in here.
Yeah, like, like whatever it is, but just noticing it and, it'd be easy to go, there's bigger problems in the world, there's AI. But it's like discomfort is discomfort, and we'll all be dead soon. Can we be big enough to let these things be as they are without needing to change them, without going, come on, don't get caught in the little things. Let's move on. But to God, these are all the little things.
Yeah.
And actually finding the value. We're not saying like cultivate neurosis. No, we're just saying meet these aspects as they are. Like when we meet our own children and say, I'm not. You just broke up with your boyfriend in grade 5, girlfriend in grade 5. Don't you know that this is meaningless? You'll get to be 40 and divorced, and this will mean very little. Why are you asking me to take this seriously? Oh, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about the relative truth and authenticity that you're experiencing at this point. And who the fuck am I to tell you that it doesn't mean anything because you're only 11 or something?
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm not borrowing from any child that I know right now, but it's common enough. And so you can meet them where they are. Like what were you talking about when you have your first memory of not being able to move your arms and legs properly or whatever? It's like, Paul, you haven't had a stroke. Your arms and legs will be working soon. It's actually quite comparable to a stroke because you're developing neurological innervation. So maybe that's like the perspective. That's a metaphorical reflection of the way that the God part relates to the human part. It's like, I can't take this seriously, but I can take you taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That's a nice reframe.
So all of this is like that. It's like to me, it's the beauty of authenticity. And ironically or coincidentally, I find it hard sometimes to really capture why that moves me so much, because the language can bleed out. Something like, if you can't find the right words, it's probably time to shut up and feel it more, and then the words tend to find themselves.
Yeah.
Stop trying to intellectualize what you're doing and be what you're doing, which is feeling orientated. That kind of thing can be beautiful, to give yourself permission to pause.
Yeah.
But like when it's like the difference between me at 25 and me at now-ish, and just granularly getting better at it. When someone comes to you with a problem, it's like seeing them in the problem and noticing like, oh God, I'd love to fix this for you and give you an intellectual distraction about why this doesn't matter as much and solve the problem. But the juice is in, like Abraham Hicks thinks, that words don't teach, only experience does. So what I'll do is, to the best capacity I have to remember it and to hold it elegantly, which is directly linked to how much space I have inside of myself at the time and all my relationship to myself, is give you the space to feel how you feel without needing to solve it. Occasionally there's like a philosophical inference, like you might steer a child towards, well, this happens over in this area of life too, and there might be some sort of fables that can help loosen the stiffness that's around the matter. But no mistake that the power is in there's no resistance in me to your process. Your process is divine.
Yeah.
It's an up-leveling of the God in you expanding through what it's not, as you were inferring before, but through the magic of like, I love what it is to feel well-being and safety. We're saying in the world, but we mean God within God's self from God's perspective. Like if there's, God's infinity, and to have the perspective of its own well-being, how great it is to feel invulnerable. Well, at some point you test that out against vulnerability.
Yeah.
And here we are, incredibly vulnerable. Parts feeling like they may break, they may die. Oh my God, I'm so naked. Like, it's one thing to meditate all the time and find the empty space that's akin to God. It's another thing to go and be vulnerable in human relationship and say, I love you so much that if you died, I feel like I'd be destroyed. Or I have bits that are dirty and mucky, and if I show them to you and you deny me, I'd be destroyed. Yeah. It just, I'd fracture into a million parts, but something in me pushes me to show you anyway. And then we dare to reveal it. And there's this pivot point, this middle ground, this explosion of like realizing the invulnerability in that vulnerability. I'm invulnerable enough to be truly vulnerable. And it explodes in that moment. And it's a profound energetic, not intellectual experience. You didn't just invent a new philosophy on humaning, a new idea structure. Like, you became a thing. You became bigger.
I think
by transiting that vulnerability, you found all this invulnerability.
You're actually allowing the process to work.
Yeah, the participation sort of thing.
Yeah, and just by showing up and being brave and You can hide from the process and you can stall the process and you can eke it out over lifetimes if you want. Or you can not do that. And you can be brave and courageous and be vulnerable and dig into those bits that hurt, because they're generally the bits that have got the best kind of oomph in them, you know? Yeah, I remember being like a young man and being depressed and having this kind of inspirational moment of going, why am I romanticizing melancholy?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Of course.
And then
Melancholy
you're like,
is crack cocaine at certain moments in life.
That is interesting. Why am I? And then so if you took that back to the AI thing, why does that person, that fictional person we're talking about, but why does that person have, AI anxiety? There's quite a high potential, or perhaps equal potential, that this will create heaven on earth for everybody. There's a potential for that, for sure.
Yeah.
That everybody just becomes a high net worth individual. Everyone can have whatever they want.
Yeah. Well, how about just everybody has access to all the knowledge and that will expand. That'll create a bigger pool of knowledge, and then some things will be concealed, and it just keeps happening. I think it's a definition of duality. But it's one of the, of unlimited wealth was one of the characteristics of Source. I feel like I've washed out the word God today. But then so's data, access to information, knowledge, wisdom, understanding things. And it's insane what's available today. It's a gift. It really is. That gift is complex in this world. And like you're saying, it turns off part of your brain. Also, we got really bad at riding horses when the car was invented. But it freed us up to live in a completely different world, an unrecognizable world. And now we're in a fossil fuel crisis. And shit, should have gone back to the horses. It's like, no, this is on track. It's always been wobbly like this, and it's moving faster, and we're also moving away from our mammalian heritage. Like, chimps are pretty far away from us now, and also not that far genealogically, both of those things are true. But one of the things I heard Musk say 10 years ago, was as soon as we got smartphones, we became cyborgs, and whatever, clean up the language however you like. He's a unapologetic kind of fella. But yeah, I remember hanging out with a friend's dad and thinking, he knows everything. And then working out, he's quite arrogant. He doesn't really listen to anybody. He's giving answers all the time and being the guy all the time. Yeah. And then smartphones were invented and you're like, you're fucked now, bro. Because we can fact check everything that you say and do. And then it became very quiet.
Yeah, because you're full of shit most of the time.
Most of the time.
I've been that guy.
Half-truths at best.
I've been that guy, for sure.
The full of shit guy?
Yeah, just the bravado a bit and wanting to flex intellectual, muscles and things, and just comes from a place of less of lack, rather than a place of fullness and acceptance of everybody as they are and love for everybody as they are.
I suspect it comes from moments of where it's true and you were accurate and people enjoyed your offering of intelligence in that moment, and it's a nice feeling. And then there's other moments where you're not on your game, the topic of interest is not in your repertoire, or there's somebody really, really intelligent in the room or something like that, and you go, this sucks. And that's, the old Buddhist sort of perspective that you've noticed the attachment. If you're attached to what it is to be the smartest one in the room, then when you're the second smartest or the dumbest, it's death. It's horrible. Yeah. So that's the middle path concept, right? It's be attached to neither. I used to play with it as a bowl of ice cream. If you're really, really attached, needy around the bowl of ice cream, then the empty bowl of ice cream on another day will be devastating. But there's something about being able to simply observe the experience in which, there's lots going. This is like Buddhism in so many ways. I'm simply there's different chemicals hitting my tongue. Detachment. And it's often confused middle path with compromise. Diplomacy, it's not it at all. It's detachment from either end of the polarity so that you're free. And it still plays out. It's not my favorite.
How do you do that
philosophy.
without dissociation? Because that feels a touch dissociated from, how do you engage in that with that detachment?
Yeah.
Just not have a need for a desired outcome.
This feels like more classical spirituality to me. I guess the premise is Ram Dass describes Neem Karoli Baba as being really detached from life, but the most alive person he's ever been around. So I suppose it's if you have enough interface or enough karmic cleanup or whatever with your true nature, like with, sitting in meditation for 1 billion years or whatever and really drowning in that energy, then none of this can give you the resourcing that can. So then you could consume ice cream with revelry, but it doesn't compare to self. It doesn't offer you identity. It doesn't consume you, you consume it, and then you're free to pick it up, put it down, and you're fine anyway. This is the kind of concept of it. But it can create a kind of detachment that I don't think is healthy. If you're making love to the love of your life and you're detached from the experience because your relationship with self is primary, we're now in the weeds a bit, Can you give yourself to the pure human moment of the vulnerability of that, of nothing else mattering except that singular point of focus of connection and warmth and ecstasy and trust and familiarity and smell and taste, sensuality, all the things? Can you give yourself to that in a really, really rich way? So I actually think
it feels like oscillation when you say that.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're oscillating down into the density of experience, and then you oscillate back up into detachment, spirituality, etc., and then you oscillate back down into. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're in the realm now of like, I don't know if I'm right about anything
Sure.
in truth. So that gives me the freedom to have an opinion, I think, ironically. So something like, we're now circling around why those concepts of classic monastic aligned spiritual principle are beautiful to me and elegant, but they're not ideal for me. They're not complex enough in their way to capture this experience, I don't know, properly.
Can I be cheeky?
Mm-hmm.
Is your understanding of them limited to the point of view that you can't find a way to make it work for you?
Yeah. I mean, if we rephrase the question, is there a chance I don't fully understand them? Always. Yeah. Always, of course. So this is what I mean. I don't know that I know, so I'm free to have an opinion. We can sit here and say, well, I've read some books or sat with them or whatever, but I don't know. Was I really paying attention? Was I, you can miss stuff all the time. I don't know. It's like, do you have to, when you realize no one's truly mastered anything, then you're like, well, no one's entitled to an opinion on anything. But conversation's nice. So maybe we'll allow ourselves to just hold ourselves a little more lightly and have opinions. And so it's not righteousness and accuracy that we're looking for in terms of intellectualizing ideas. Like, that's no notes. That is that is watertight. It'll never change. Science doesn't work that way. Why would spirituality and religion? So if no one really knows that they know, how do you discern whether something's right for you as you're listening to this stuff? Well, the best I've got is that how much love is in it. What lights you up? So that's a pointing to resonance.
Yeah.
The thing that I am finds itself in that idea. That feels great. I'm going to call that a new kind of accuracy and truth. But what I'm really saying is I'm resonant with which that truth is me. So for me, that lands in, I'm no doubt I'm to degrees misunderstanding these ancient principles. But what I experience is like they actually detach and bypass the divinity that's in the human experience more than I think is ideal and efficient. So to be big enough spiritually to move into a fuller experience of humanity, to open up and let more humanity in and go, shit, I'm not like transcending the vulnerability of what it is to love my children or to be fearful of being hurt in any kind of human relationship or or to feel anxiety and fear move through my nervous system and go, well, it's all God anyway, I'm going to be fine. It's like there are parts of my body that aren't there right now and that I don't know when they'll be there. What I know I can do and what proves out to work is that I can be with this as viscerally as possible. So it's interesting. It's like, oh, we're going to move back into the human, and if that makes me a little less spiritual, then okay. But doing that, I tend to have this experience of, I ask even more of my spirituality, because it's like, how steady are you really, bro? Can you be with the death of a loved one? Can you be with, can you create such an impeccable container that you can allow a part of you to be like so truly terrified? Not creating terror for terror's sake, but to sit with it. And that feels, as it turns out, like a more advanced spiritual holding. Some of the language that I've heard in, the last decade as opposed to the time before that is like that the traditional paths have very masculine versions of spiritual practice. It's about spaciousness. It's about detachment. And that's we started this conversation talking richly about oscillation between the spiritual spaciousness and the witnessing that can happen inside that spaciousness versus, all the aliveness of what it is to be a monkey man. And I'm either in one mode or the other. What does the middle look like? And this movement through, it's like the waveform is God itself, or if we're only in the masculine part of it, then we can move away from the experience of the goddess, which is to be as human as we can possibly be. As a point of interest, I think this is the space that deliberate manifestation is born from. The peace and invulnerability of God is a faculty that comes online through recognizing that there's divine consciousness in all of us, and being with that and fostering more and more of it and creating cognizance and familiarity with it, eventually looks like a classical version of enlightenment. Like, I know there's only one of us in the room and I'm imbibing that.
I find it fascinating to observe that in friends, where you remember, I'm sure you've experienced this, you remember when you were in that space, where you're like, they're still judging other people, they're still then having to cop the judgment of themselves because they're judging other people, and so the ideas that you're talking about now are not yet available. I mean, of course they are available, but they seem like they're further away than they really are, because they're still in those spaces of, density and still in that
I watch, though, it's just in the phenomena that flies across my night sky kind of thing, is I notice that there's that kind of density, and then there's a journeying into something more like an awakening of consciousness, where it's like, wow, this stuff's all happening for me, not to me. And I can sit in judgment, or I can sit in curiosity, and these kinds of things where you might then move beyond judgment for a chapter or two, and then it tends to swing a little too far, and people tend to be obsessed with, I don't want to be a victim, I want to be moving to a more loving, bigger, fluid holding of all this stuff, and they can get a bit bypassy in the margins. And so then you work out, is like, okay, how do I adopt a loving outlook and maybe see this as God sees it, without abandoning the human being that I came to be?
Through a fierce love of yourself.
Through a fierce love of myself that looks like whatever I feel is whatever I feel.
To a point. I feel like, that was that Jung quote, like, if you're unaware of the rumblings that are going on in your subconscious, then you're forever a victim of them, or to the whims, you'll forever be carried by the whims of your subconscious.
Yeah.
I feel like there is still that in there.
Well, if we limit that dialogue to your own inner world, where you're not sharing the persecutions that you experience broadly, so like classical martyrdom or victimhood or whatever isn't playing out, but you are being honest with yourself about it. It's like, the truth is that when I talk to these people about these topics, I feel anger, rather than like, they know not what they do. I want to support and love them as they are. It's like to realize the full potential of those beautiful beings in your life and see them as God sees them. We've got to recognize the catalyst for profound feeling that they represent. Like, Ramdas would say, God's in drag, but in a specific flavor of something, as they play a character in your life, in the grand theater of it all, in the great Greek tragedy of it all. They enter your life to play a certain role that has no bearing on anything unless they're catalyzing certain feelings in your space. Anxiety, discomfort, familiar patterning from the past.
I feel like if you're saying that thing of, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do, or whatever, that space. If you're saying that from a rote, kind of unreal point of view, then I totally agree. Mm-hmm. But if you are saying that from a truly honest, perceived, like that is your honest, true, feeling, then all they're doing is to serve to show you something you've moved past. So something that you've are moving through, or are mostly the way through or halfway through or whatever.
So if you give us some context.
I don't think they have to cause anger or cause, even if they've wronged you.
Well, I'm not saying.
Because I feel like then you've taken the power away from them. Like you own your power in that space. Mm-hmm. I feel like even when people are being dickheads, they can just be dickheads. It doesn't have to inflame or cause anything. It doesn't have to cause anything.
This is about an authentic. This is a beautiful center point to unpack, I think, because this is it right now. And to me, this is the delineation between working through it with your head and working through it with your heart, and across the board, a very common point of dialogue. It's like a premise that you chose to be angry or you chose to be sad. Feelings don't work that way. You don't choose to be in love with somebody. You don't choose to be afraid of somebody.
I disagree a little bit. Yeah. I feel like triggers are, if you're unaware of your triggers, then you are choosing that because you're not surmounting them and seeing them for the gifts that they are.
Unearthing them, maybe?
Yeah, they're not the gifts that they're intended to be.
Are you aware of all your triggers right now?
No, of course not. I don't think anyone.
So are you choosing to be emotionally reactionary to certain people? So if it's there's a meeting point here.
But there's a point where you can ignore your triggers and you can just continue to be. For example, anger is a great one. You can just continue to be angry, or you can investigate the anger and investigate why you feel that way, why you feel like you've handed over your sovereign, access to your feelings and to your state of being to somebody else, because they're the one who's able to inflame you like that. And then if you are brave enough to kind of move into that space of disarming them, or at least trying to understand them, or getting help, or whatever it is, I feel like that's kind of like that's their purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to cause you to self-reflect.
Yeah.
To take ownership and accountability and go do this stuff. That's all beautiful, but the first step is a certain phenomena of life, whether it was the wind blowing, a leaf falling, or somebody being perceivably rude to you, it doesn't matter. Whatever bubbles up and arises, a wave on the ocean, there it is. So there's an innate turn the other cheek, it's all welcome, it's all okay, that's buried in there conventionally anyway.
Only
if
it's authentic.
Behavior,
only if it's authentic.
Sure.
But I think if it's inauthentic. It feels
like we're arguing is too strong. But the nuance between like being perpetually pissed off and stuck. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. That's an archetype that we can both comfortably agree on. It's like, well, when you're ready, we can chip away at your role in this, and that'd be a great idea. When you're ready, until then, many people doing that all the time, and indeed you and I are doing it in ways we don't understand, and we will in 5 years and go, wow, look at that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when someone enters your space with a certain energy signature of behavior, and it runs through your system, and you experience anger. So there was no choice in that. If we pause in that moment, we don't go any further with what happens next. That's what I mean by the rawness of things. Mm-hmm. Things enter and there it is. And here it's mine to own. Mm. But ownership looks like being big enough to allow it to be as it is. I feel, what's the truth? The truth is furious. How dare you?
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm not always. I'm not saying furious is the only emotion. But yeah, whatever. Like there it is. So what I notice, like we were saying, there's the consciousness not particularly awake stage. Let's say it's just not this linear, and it goes back and forth all over the place. But to give it some really simple skeleton, And then it transits into something like, wow, there's only one of us here. This is an endless sea of possibility and opportunity, and I'm going to work with all these opportunities. What I notice is that I would say it's a bit too yang and monastic in its way, tends to move beyond, tends to default to a God holding of things so often that it dismisses what it is to simply feel it and feel it all the way through. And when we start to turn that corner as well, and now integrating the yin and the yang of it, to adopt a bigger opportunity seizing perspective that's godlike. To me, one of the natures of like the masculine consciousness, unlimited and vulnerable part, is everything's a ripe fruit. Everything's an opportunity. Everything's fucking amazing. And that's true for half of us. But the other half is just as important. And it's like, I feel this as deeply as I feel this. So the turn the other cheek, default to a higher perspective thing is not perfect. It's dualistic.
Yeah.
And it has double edges. And I see it with regularity holding people back. Somewhere along the line, they aren't giving themselves full permission to simply be as they are, to feel as they feel for fear of being in judgment of somebody else. And the irony being, the aha moment, is that by allowing ourselves to, let's try to hold a bigger perspective. As I do that, I notice this really hurts. This betrayal, this letdown, this whatever. I'm going to allow myself to be big enough to feel it all the way through. Rarely does conflict resolution seem to enhance that, just the feeling part of it. It has its place, diplomacy and stuff, but usually it's because of an energy disconnect and this person isn't ready to resolve this with you. Sometimes it could be a really important part, but generally we use it as a tool to find more authentic relationship with ourselves on a personal level. The irony being,
sometimes just to be seen to be doing something about it.
What do you mean?
Conflict resolution. I think sometimes just to be seen to be trying to do something. You know, I'm not sure that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so often empty calories because of the primary disconnect that's underneath it. But what I mean is like, we were so afraid of blaming somebody, but when we can go, this person makes me feel A, and it's so big, and I'm just going to sit and in the cave or walk on the beach for as many months as I need to in order to feel this fully. We work out that we're realizing the gift of this person in our life. Like we were talking about with Amy and Penelope, to realize the disconnect. The person who's driving that dynamic, usually the more conscious one, who's afraid of the judgment, ends up digesting the whole thing and working out the gift of that person, putting them in their proper place, as it were, in their own inner system and machination. So the disconnect being like, I was so afraid of making her to be wrong that I didn't allow myself to feel how her presence in my world made me feel. And then you feel it all the way through and you couldn't be more grateful for them and you couldn't be more acceptant of the way that they are. Does it land, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I just feel like you and I are actually, we're talking about the same thing.
Right.
We're just at different points of it. And you're talking about at the inception of inflammation, and I'm more talking about at the back end of
recurring.
No, once that has calmed and you've found the point of irritation, you know, like the sand in the oyster that creates the pearl, and I'm talking about actually authentically being at that space, and then I'm looking back at you going, yeah, but you're going, don't forget about how this is really actually truly frustrating. And I'm going, yeah, but can't you see the opportunity because I've got a pearl in my hand? Yeah. And you're going, no, but as long as you don't. And then we're just at different edges, we're at different ends of the same concept.
Well, I felt that too, that like I can clearly see how we agree and we're arguing about some of the nuance, and it's more about a starting point, which I think is what you're saying. Yeah. But I also think...
Well, you can't get to where I'm talking about without being where you're talking about.
Yeah, which is what I meant by like what I was trying to articulate about like, this is very dependent on how authentic we're starting this thing out. Yeah. Am I actually meeting myself? We can quickly... We can quickly bypass be posturing to hold a pearl. And we're going, the irony is you're bypassing the pearl.
100%.
And so there's something about this that's like the generation of the pearl is God itself. So the way that the consciousness and the life form bit, the life force bit, the yin and the yang, the Shiva and the Shakti of all of this, the way that they amplify, play out, dance together is God itself. So one of the, I don't know, maybe it's only in the last couple of decades that I've been able to hear it, or maybe it's truly only emerged there. I couldn't say. I've only got my experience. But this experience of like, this is a simulation, this isn't real. What's really happening is God is behind all this stuff as the nothing that holds it all, as the perfect love that holds it all. And then the counter argument is like, well, we've seen this as just a simulation, but this is so additive to that other place that it is as important as that other place. So the goddess is as important as the god. I feel like it's playing out all the time. So the way that we weave between the incessant, insatiable opportunity seeker and the one who is processing all the feeling, who's experiencing, who is life itself. They said that about women, right? They are love itself. They are life itself. In many different ways, or yin energy is, or whatever. Something we can unpack another day. But it's the relationship between the two. So it was actualized as the journey in this instance, but how they relate to each other, how feeling alone is pretty horrific, but feeling that can be held and seen and allowed to unfold and move because of the addition of the consciousness that can notice it, and like a rose that exists without anybody to see it, smell it, and for even it to experience it itself, it's not a thing. But if you add an eye and a nose, and now it gets to exist, like consciousness. So, and like so many of these things, for the listener or for you and I, the invitation isn't to break that down intellectually, but maybe to feel it. And that can be a cop-out. These ideas don't have to be very refined and good, because we're just going to ask you to feel it anyway.
We'll just edit it out if it's not.
Or they can be profoundly liberating, because we can step beyond the mind, and that's the dance all the time.
Yeah.
A little abstract.
I think there was a lot of grunty stuff in what we were just talking about, and I feel like we just got bogged down in maybe I can only speak from my own perspective, just got bogged down in my own experience of it, you know.
I think I hear what you're saying.
Well, because like for me, it's like, what's the point if I'm actually truly in this space where I understand my triggers and I understand why I'm feeling like that? That can soothe those feelings inside myself. So when I hear you say, you've got to feel those feelings, my response is, but I've worked out why I feel those feelings. And it's a place of inadequacy and emptiness inside me.
Yeah.
Or misunderstanding of something in my childhood created this story about something that then led me as an adult to behave like this. And so for me, it's like, I don't have to feel those feelings, because now I understand why I feel those feelings. And not to validate your, to show my awareness of what I think you were talking about, is that you're going, yes, but if you don't actually start by feeling those feelings, you can't get to what you're talking about. And that is 100% correct.
That is a huge part of it. Yeah. And that, also, I mean, why?
It's just something really, really dear to my heart, that experience, because I see so many people in so much pain that other people are causing them, that they are causing themselves.
Through misunderstanding.
Correct. Through their own.
So let's understand.
So through their own, not stubbornness, but their own lack of awareness of the power they are giving away to other people.
But what do we, totally, and it's really important, but what do we find when you walk back? Let's use the childhood trauma example, because it's low-hanging fruit and easy.
Sure.
When we walk all the way back and you find the wounded child, the wound is a feeling. The wound is a rejection. The wound is a holding that wasn't possible. A feeling that there was no God present to hold for. The child couldn't do it for themselves. The parents were in some sort of unconscious survival
God
mode.
was the judge and jury and executioner.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So in place of equanimity and love and steadiness and maturity, there was something else, something stuck in survivalism. And that's okay. And this happens all day, every day in so many ways. But we've worked, I'm trying to paint a picture of understanding. We peel it right back open to find the root. And the root is not an idea. The root is not even a disconnect. The root is an unfelt feeling. The root is...
I wouldn't say an unfelt feeling, but it could be like, because one of mine, for example, that I uncovered in the last 12 months is confusion, you know. And so clarification is what was needed rather than confusion. Does that make sense? So the confusion was definitely felt.
Yeah, you needed truth.
I needed some kind of understanding or clarification of that situation as an adult to then be able to interface with that feeling as a young child of confusion to help the young child part of me understand what actually happened, or to the best of my ability as an adult to explain that to that part, to soothe that.
Yeah, and you're talking about something really powerful for you in your experience. I you know, for the listener's sake, I don't know what Paul's inferring specifically. Yeah. Even though we know lots about each other, but something very powerful for you in your experience. I can feel in the way you're telling the story. Yeah. So, what is there an emotional connotation? Not the defining of it is it's not a doing thing, a being thing. Meet that unmet need or that the thing that couldn't be as it was. So like the gabble mate of it all, like it's not it's not that horrible shit happens that messes up kids. It's that there was nobody to process it with at the time. Yeah. The emotion wasn't able to be held and normalized and processed.
And understood,
understood. I think like even understood is mindy for me. So it's like the baby doesn't need to understand anything. Yeah. The baby needs a safe place to neuroregulate. I feel like, you know, when our kids, particularly when they're little, flip out, it's irrational, it's emotion itself. There's no understanding there. Yeah. We can talk about it later, maybe a little bit with a 4 to 9-year-old kind of age-appropriate dialogue. But like, so there was confusion. Confusion's fucking scary when you're little. It would have been confusion about identity and safety and role and your place in the family home or whatever.
Oh, there was a misunderstanding of something and violence towards me because of it. Because of a pure-hearted intention and then violence as a response and then confusion.
So Paul was trying to
help. Yeah.
And life in that essence, in that moment, communicated that pulling can lead to dangerous stuff. So then it's like the natural contemplation, maybe conclusion, is that part of Paul is bad. That part of Paul is wrong and unsafe. And man, I'm not that lit up by like conventional psychological theory and stuff, but sometimes it has an irresistible place in these sorts of dialogues. So if we think about you as an infinite being who is now taking 20% of their essence, their character, their soul, it's divine, it's unlimited in its creative capacity, and we're taking it and as the profound creator that we are saying it's not okay, it's wrong, and as a young child that's an inevitable conclusion to some degree, but we're such powerful creators on a divine level that we're shackling that part of ourselves and wondering why we feel bereft of something forever and later in our life. And the premise is that like we just keep creating and recreating circumstances to draw that back to the surface over and over and over. And the cliche, because it does feel cliche and yet ironically powerful despite its cliched nature or something, that it's, okay, the one who couldn't hold space for you then is now present as adult Paul, as a more integrated higher self Paul, who can now be with him and say, I see you, bro. I see you, and I know where you came from in that moment. I know what you were trying to be and achieve and how beautiful and pure it was. And it must have felt, you're in touch with the feelings as the same being talking to the same being, so you know how it felt. So horrible to be wronged, to be wrong made in your when you were functioning from such a pure part of yourself in that moment. Wow, how disconnecting and abandon orientating, and that's so intense. And an intensity that's buried until there's a ripe enough version of you to hold for it. So these mechanisms,
or a scenario to draw it out of you later in life.
There's your opportunity seizing.
Yeah.
Because it can't help itself. But there's both halves. The opportunity seizing leading to the unfelt feeling underneath it all. And it plays out in a manifestational sense too. I think it's like, what is your highest functioning idea?
What I'm struggling to understand though is what is the unfelt feeling in that example?
Yeah, great question. You defined it as confusion.
Yeah.
So when you walk back and misunderstand it, you walk back and find the root of the misunderstanding, as you put it, and you find him there. You find little Paul trying to do something from a beautiful Paul place, and you have no doubt of his intentions, and because he's innocent and simple and beautiful in that way, and it's met with yuckiness and violence. How does he feel?
Yeah, confused, like as to what's going on and why.
Right, and confusion has no emotional connotation. It's just an intellectual disconnect.
I guess I can only talk through the scenario that brought that memory back, and that was confusion. You know, like that was like, that's what's hiding underneath that. The reason I feel that way about this thing is because of that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a connotation of like punishment for doing something wrong and not knowing what that wrongness was.
Yeah. These are so emotive to my heart to hear. And I don't think Luke's emotionally dramatizing somebody else's story again.
No.
I don't think, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but I feel quite reasonable I think that's called empathy. And yeah, because there's so much to process as a child.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there's healthy containment and safety from an adult who's done work on themselves enough to create that so that you can be yourself. And there you are, presuming you can be yourself. What is there a more natural path for a child to choose than just, I'm going to be myself today? And there they are, feeling safe enough to be with myself, and it goes really bad. The conclusions you draw from that and the natural self-oppression that comes from that have a strong emotional connotation. It's not okay to be me. There's nothing more natural in the world than being me, and that's fundamentally broken. I just define confusion and agony. Both. Yeah, so I suppose that's what I mean by, yes, the psychology of the root of it being in feeling, but that the goddess part manifests as the feeler, as the one who experiences. Yeah. And the consciousness part being the one who sees it happening and is reveling in how amazingly complex this movie is, and how in a sea of undying love and orgasm and satisfaction and provisioning and fulfillment, how hard it is to find, or you need another ingredient, an inversion, an antichrist, a yin, to be an up and down, a polarity, a contrast, to be able to find the magic of authenticity in all of this. And it's little Paul who creates the authenticity in that story. And it's fucking magic. And the magic's in the harrowing.
That makes sense. It's interesting, hey, because my interpretation of it was just the confusion was but yeah, I mean, of course there's disappointment and sadness and all of those things. But they were all, for me at least anyway, they were all experienced at that moment. Like those feelings were felt. They were literally the reason of the cause of the confusion. Not the cause of the confusion, but they were the result of the confusion.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel so sad? Why do I feel disappointed or whatever it is when all I was trying to do was help and was punished, you know?
Mm.
But it makes sense that like, yeah, I'm trying to understand what that unfelt feeling means because it doesn't resonate for some reason.
Yeah. There are many ways to hold it. I can't profess to, it's just my best.
Yeah.
That's all.
It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It's like, can you use it and is it functional and helpful for you?
Yeah.
Is my truth.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, that was the death thing was the thing that helped me with. It's like as a kid being like 7, 8 years old and realizing I was going to die and I was afraid of the nothingness coming to end me and my existence and stuff. And my mum gives me How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie, and they're like, what the fuck do we do with this kid? You know, for 2 years, that's like just terrified of, and it ends out, you know, hormones start, girls, music, all of that, you know, that sort of starts to change everything. But it's still there. Like that fuels the melancholy of...
Now?
No, it's still there in my teens, sorry. And that fuels the melancholy. And then like, I don't know, early 20s, I'm at mum and dad's place and I just have this epiphany. You are romanticizing the melancholic. If you want to be logical and truthful about this, it must sit at 50%. You don't know. You don't know if you will live and recycle and come back and reincarnate, or you don't know if that's the end. And to that end, which one benefits your life and uplifts it and makes it more enjoyable and is additive to the quality of your life. And that's the reincarnation story. Therefore, why would I not live there? At the very, very least, you must live right on the fence of that 50%. Because otherwise you're just dramatically entertaining or romanticizing the melancholy and the darkness of, and that set me free, man. And from that point on, it was like, well, if this does make me feel better and thing, then why wouldn't I believe in it? And it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It's what you believe.
Well, what would something,
you know, like,
how would absolute truth reveal
no
itself
such thing
in that instance anyway? So it's such a beautiful story to me to listen to. I think of two things, like lost in the density of the yin aspect of yourself. I'm really alive so I could really die. And then freeing yourself with like, but there's all this opportunity and mystery and unknown and, you know, infinity on the outside of it. So liberating it by bringing it back into balance. Yeah, this is real, but I'm going to hold it, create some space and come back to some middle ground where the masculine part can ground it more. The other part is I was chatting with someone this week about the kind of, you know, for somebody recovering from, you know, narcissistic abuse through the codependency lens sort of thing, they're a recovering codependent in a way. This is the psychological labeling, but learning to self-advocate more. And one of the question marks in that space is like, in narcissistic relationship, do you love somebody? Yes, I love this person so much. What do you love about them? Oh, I don't know. They're just magical. Everything, whatever, which is, you know, youthful and innocent and a beautiful languaging. But when you look at the functionality of what it is to be in a relationship, it's about safety. And actually, you know, experts on narcissism recovery or whatever will be like, well, that's one of the telltale signs of a toxic relationship, is that I love this person because I love this person without any grounding in the human functional structuring of safety building. So I love them because they listen to me and see me like nobody has in my life. And when they go out into the world, I see them inspire and I see them be themselves and I see them be generative and I admire the fuck out of them. So something like that is a bit more equipped. It's a bit more weaponized in a positive sense.
Have you heard that idea that you don't actually love anybody, you just love how you feel around how...
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea. It simplifies everything. It's just like, I just love how I feel around him, them.
Yeah.
They, them. You know, like there's something super simple, but also super cuts to the point and the truth and the...
Yeah.
You know?
To me, that's a very masculine way to hold it. It's like you don't
Right.
really love your children, Paul.
No, I know.
They just activate a part of you that you enjoy experiencing.
Totally. I'm very sycophantic that way
Well,
to myself.
to me, that's a bridge too far.
Right.
It's because it's saying none of this is real. That it leans into the simulation. So again, it can be empowering in the right context and beautiful, but it's, to me, that's telling the story from a certain perspective. And sometimes it's too unilateral. It's coming from the left only, and we need some of the right to bring it into balance to create the harmony of duality that we came to experience. Not how do you feel about this person, but how do you feel around this person? There's another beautiful one, to mature a relationship and invite, am I caring for myself or just loving another? Is this safe, and is this love growing my love for myself? Does it point me back to me? And yes, that points to safety in relationship. It also points to spiritual growth in relationship.
Trust and vulnerability.
Yeah, which empower what it is to grow spiritually.
Yeah.
It's not just about being safe, it's about the amplification and growth that can happen as a consequence of safety. So then this person I was talking to is in a relationship and, has drunk the Kool-Aid of these positive ideas of I want to admire the person, but I want to feel like we're pointing each other back to ourselves. I don't want to be lost in love and dopamine for this person alone. I want to really feel what I feel when I'm around them and really know why I love them. And what is emerging though is like as they go deeper and deeper and deeper, and they are experiencing a relationship of trust and safety, and something will happen that they, as the relationship will sort of fall off the horse. They hit some turbulence. This is what I feel in this space. I'm not blaming you for it, but this is what I feel in our shared relationship space. And I feel a necessity to move in order for it to move in the direction I feel like it needs to, in order for this love to continue to grow, I need us to feel a little safer and do a little bit of cleanup work. And I need some reminding that you care about how I feel in this relationship. And I'm so happy to remind you of how I care about your safety in this relationship. Two different cosmonauts in their own little bubble, somehow holding hands and traveling through the universe together, and the steadying gift of going like, hey, how you doing in there? Can you let me know how it feels in there? And naturally, in order to ask that question from a real place, you've got to have deep roots in connection with yourself to even have that point of inflection. So the more you connect with yourself, the more you can connect with other, the more safety you can build, and all this. So it's all built with the structure of safety. Safety lends itself to enlightenment far more than has ever been openly discussed in my world anyway. And so this is happening in these beautifully spiritually generative relationships. And what this person was reflecting is like, I love them for the safety that they're able to hold in their relationship with themselves, the safety they require from me in order to relate to them, the knowing that either of us we're both deeply committed to each other, but either of us could walk away at any minute. Deal breakers exist. If you take me for granted and we can't clean it up, I can't be myself and stay here, and I won't do that to either of us. So I'd be out. I wouldn't want to be, but it has to be real. Like if you play a sport and you wear the wrong shoes or break the rules or treat football like basketball or whatever, bro, tweak it or leave. You're not allowed. We're no longer playing the same sport. So rules and structures matter. So all this beautiful scaffolding of safety that, rocket to the moon all of a sudden is what's possible. And then this person's reflecting, but there are still reasons that I love them that I can't explain. There's a mystery here as well. That was a big detour. But that's what came up for me in listening to your story as a kid and then a teenager, and your love affair with melancholy. And what opening up to the mystery informed about that. There are things that I don't know and I don't need to know. Not knowing informs an innocence in my experience where I can be footloose and fancy free. I don't need to know in order to be. And this is infinity. We do not know. And we never know that we know either. So here we are. All we have is being in that sense. So in this specific adult relational story that this person was reflecting, I know that I want to love this person for reasons that I know, for things that I feel when I'm around them, all through the prism of safety and visibility and transparency. And what I'm working out is there's a whole quadrant, a whole massive space of incredible power where I love them for mysterious reasons as well. Fascinating. It's like I was in a space that was really heavy.
No, thank goodness.
Okay, cool.
No, the mystery.
Well, yeah. Thank goodness it's allowed to be.
Yes, 100%.
Oh,
because it's magic.
Yeah.
That's what magic is.
It's interesting, but we've now got a polarity. Same bloody thing we're always talking about, the yin and the yang of it all, the both-endedness. We can call it whatever we want to, they're all fine. But I've got this unformed, beautiful, mysterious, goes forever, is completely consuming and valid and everything. And then I've got all this structure and necessity. And if they're both online, fully online humanistically and fully online esoterically, if they're both online, the party is raucous. Life is self-actualizing. The newness that is Paul is emerging into the universe. It's never existed and it's popping on through. And that's available to anybody who's interested in it. To everybody. This week, we had the closest thing we've had to a healthy argument about something. And then it revealed itself to be
different perspectives of the same.
There was that, but it was if the tension itself was representative of the whole matter. Like it was the very muse, the tension that people experience around that, and that how do we clarify? How do we find a place where we know we're saying the same thing, but we can connect those dots, form a bridge?
Well, I think, when the focus of a conversation is not to beat the other person, but to try to understand what they're actually talking about, the conversation is always richer, deeper, more harmonious. It feels to me like if we had more discussions or more interactions like that, we would all know more about each other and our existence.
Yeah. There was part of me that wanted to clear up what I was saying as well. And I felt probably mildly more interrupty than I normally would be. And no, but that's what I mean. I mean this. And that's what I mean by the I guess, tension in it. So it's like, I'm thinking, was I really trying to understand what you were, or was I trying to lead you into my understanding?
I mean, it's almost the same thing.
Maybe.
What's just the other end of trying to understand the person is to try and have the other person understand what you're... If it's done with respect and care for the other person, I don't, I think it's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, well, at the best of things, I find that there's like a thread that's loving, that wants to kind of move through. And that's what I'm trying to move towards. But that isn't always about intellectual diplomacy or what's fair and making sure everyone speaks. And so it's like, it's contentious or it's penetrating. It's like unapologetic in different ways. And this is a weird balance. I have issues with my own mind stuff that plays out is around arrogance. And it comes from a history in being a devotee or
being misunderstood.
Yeah.
I've had it like my whole life.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about it anymore. It's just I can't be anybody else. I'm so old and tired. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Well, yeah, trauma can be so liberating.
There is a part of growing older that you go like, because I'm 10 years on you, man. Like,
you're 9.
Whatever. Yeah. I love that you said that.
Whatever, I don't care. Also, thank you so much.
Also, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that year
I think
back.
I said it as, and you can cash that check if you want. But it's like, no, I'm aware of our friendship and I know how old you are.
But as you get older, you give less of a fuck. And it's like, it's so fun. I think it's so fun that like I'm starting to understand the embarrassing dad thing like with even deeper.
Because he doesn't care.
Even deep, because he doesn't give a fuck.
It's the best. It's so, these cliches, like people say, you will care about this child so much it will break you with love. And you're like, what a cliche. And then you do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the most pedestrian thing you could do is procreate. We're mammals. We're driven to have sex.
Yeah.
It's pleasurable. It's bloody easy to do. And creating life is easy to do in that sense. And yet, so it's the most pedestrian, replicable thing. And yet it is the most profound. A whole new universe was just born. Like somehow both of those things are true. Okay, this question's for you, Polly. I work with the dying. They don't talk about growth or wealth. They talk about regret. Why do human beings have this tendency to wait till the end to work out what really matters?
I think you don't have to wait to get to the end of your life to wonder why you didn't do certain things. Regret is general. I mean, you can regret doing things, I guess, and you can regret not doing things. I think that it is incumbent on any person who has the ability to examine their life. I think it's incumbent upon them to do so with a deep honesty and a deep care for themselves, so they can plot a course in their life that is going to be meaningful. You are going to regret doing things, and you are going to regret not doing things. To me, that is just a given. That's going to happen. But can you be okay with the things that you didn't do, and can you be okay with the things that you've done, is probably, to me, more relevant than the regret itself. I think there's a certain amount of cognitive dissonance that we all live with, that we are going to die, and that this is all going to end. And that may sound morose, but it's not meant to. Because without death, life is meaningless. It goes on forever. Eventually you experience everything. How boring. I read once this idea that to truly experience gratitude in the present moment, you can use an idea of being at the end of your life, and that someone comes to you and says, I've got a time machine and I'm going to take you back to one day in the middle of your life or one day in your life, and it's to the day that you're in now, and that you get to experience that day again as a younger, healthier version of yourself. So you can imagine, this is it, I'm on my deathbed actually, and I get this one day, this one moment, and this is the moment that you got. And the true beauty that you can experience in this day will expand because of the realization that you're actually going to die tomorrow. And some people will die tomorrow. I feel that to be truly present in a moment is an amazing gift. And you have to take the time to realize the beauty of that moment if you want to experience the depth of what consciousness can offer. And that saddens me that people wait till the end of their life before they contemplate that. We spoke earlier just about how I realized I was going to die at a younger age. It consumed my thoughts for a while when I was young. And I feel like that experience has stayed with me in my life, having had a intense experience, a death of a loved one, of a close family member, as we all will have to. It does put death front and center, and it does remind you that every day is precious. to go along with that, I would offer or invite somebody to be incredibly kind to themselves if they have been wasting time. I don't think it's possible to waste time, but to be kind in that realization, particularly if you come to the realization of what have I been doing with my life, and you decide to take some things into your own hands. If you decide that the job that you are doing you hate, and the life that you currently have is not what you dreamed of, be kind to yourself. There is a deep well inside everybody. And I think that a lot of the time we just kind of drink of the top of the waters at the top, and that's okay. But if you examine deep down inside yourself, I don't think that you will regret your life at the end. I don't even think it's about doing lots of things and having a bucket list and crossing off the doing. It's more the being space that you can inhabit. And this idea of like wringing the most out of life, it's like you already are. If you can truly be aware of the beauty of your existence, every moment is incredibly amazing. And that's available for everybody all the time. You just got to walk a path towards it. Give your life some space for that to ferment or to rise up. But yeah, you don't have to wait until the end of your life to regret how you've lived your life. You can start regretting it now. And do something about it. If that's a mechanism for change for you to truly contemplate what it is that you want, then use it. I don't want to get to the end of my life and regret this. Use it. This question is for you, Luke. I've been using plant medicines to unpack, but now the real world feels flat and fake. How do I come back to the material world?
Well, Polly often references Nisargadatta Maharaj. I don't know how that entered your life or whatever, but there's many sages in India, and it's one that happens to have affected me too. And in his book, I Am That, a thing stayed with me my whole life. And it's like a German guy or something who asks him something like, I have had a profound experience in India and come home. He's asking, I've had this tremendous awakening, and now I'm back in my life and everything feels dry and dead. And you can sort of read between the lines. He's saying, it's worse now. It's better because I'm in touch with a great mystery beyond, that was uncontactable. I couldn't reach it before. Didn't know it existed, and now I can. And to the other half of myself, it's wrecked the experience or something. So two competing realities in this person's life that might provide a reasonable metaphor for dissonance. So he offers something like this to him, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and he offers something like a metaphor of, sometimes the soul takes a ship and leaves the dock because it is time, and it sails across the seas to new lands, to new opportunities, to new growth arcs. And sometimes the body, the humanity, is catching up, and it's left behind at the shore. And to be honest, I don't remember what he offered as a resolution either. I just remember that, I suppose, dissonance. I remember that gap, and the gap between those two things being experienced in that way. And it's real, and it's vivid. It's uncomfortable. We could dismiss it. Maybe beings who've done that work over decades and don't recognize the arduousness of it anymore would say, you're going to be fine, little buddy. A bit like what we were saying before about an adult saying to a child, like, this breakup in grade 6 at school doesn't mean anything because of how far you'll go. Whereas we know, in hearing that and going, that's not right, we know that, like, this is how you get anywhere, is by being with these experiences and knowing that they're really real and important, and because they're full of you-ness. You're in it. Your energy signature is all over it, and so it matters, full stop. Right, so this matters too, and that gap is uncomfortable and turbulent and worthy of observation, honouring. So this bit's sacred too. It's a convenient envelopment word here, but like umbrella term, but integration is what you're describing. And there has been an incredible expanding of the aperture of your existence. The letting in of your own divine nature in that way. Holy shit, I am a lot bigger than I thought. How could I have not seen this given its immensity? And yet I didn't. And so here we are. And the rest of you is catching up. Understanding plant medicines like iboga or ayahuasca or whatever it is, they take your consciousness and transcend it to an alignment with your higher self and bigger, and visitations with source and all this stuff. So they expand your view instantly in their way, or rapidly perhaps. But that's indicative of traveling to another planet, and then you travel back. There's only so much that we can bring back from that place. This is why we use the word of integration rather than just a download or the receptivity of transmission or something, because it's got to be distilled through all the cells of your body. And so the beauty is that this discomfort in its way is as sacred as the experience of the divine or whatever you experience when you're on the medicine. They're both really important steps. And yep, one's more exalted and one's more comfortable. That's true too, and that's a really important honouring. So naturally it'll pass. Beauty of the possibility of, here's my spiritual half, knowing this profound truth and seeing the human bit as catching up a bit. And the beauty in what it is for the divine to distill into form. We're all tripods with a big vortex on the top of them, grounding our humanity into the ground, building enough strength and capacity so we can sustain, like a portal in our chest or whatever for the divine to enter this place. Crazy, maybe even sci-fi vibes, I don't know, but some image in my head long held. So it's like I honor the humanity in its ability to be steady and to open and to let this stuff through. It's a sacred component of this. And of course it's slower. It's a metaphor for all of life. What you're experiencing right now. I just worked out I'm divine, and there's a sluggishness in the other part catching up. How do we bring more and more divinity into this human world? You're doing it. You're doing it right now. So unapologetically, a service to humanity by simply being yourself and honouring this journey and moving through it. So maybe I'm not offering any practical advice, but I am sharing how reverent I am about what you're up to. And perhaps in doing so, inviting you into holding it like that too.
When you said, that you can see the divine in everything here, and to bring the divine across is just like, I guess it's to I'm just saying this out loud. I don't expect this to be in the pod. It's just that thing, like from my experience of it, it's like, I hate saying it. I say it so much now, but the invitation is to see God everywhere, all the time. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, and if your world is dry and dull, then the invitation is to stay with it, and at the same time realize that that is your perspective, and that you can, if you choose, take that experience that you had in that alternate state, and it's available to you here all the time, if you choose. I thought it was beautiful, man. Like, I feel like bring the divine into this space is like, that's the prescription.